Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Cutting Edge. My name, as you will see at the bottom of your screen, is Felicia Holder, and I'm joined this morning, as I am most mornings, by Lima McLeod Wilkinson, who I notice has included her last name in the broadcast this morning. Yes, and not just Lima. That's great, so people can find you on Facebook after and interact with you. So, Lima McLeod Wilkinson, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, guys. How are you this Wednesday? Wet, rainy, overcast looking Wednesday.
Yep, it's another rainy, well, I guess, kind of. It's the cloudy outside. And it's another morning. It's Wednesday, 7th of the 7th. And we have a lot to talk about this morning. I mean, rounding off the top and the I guess the biggest story of this morning. I don't know about you, Lima. I don't know about the viewers of this live. And if you're just joining us, you know what to do. Hit that share button. Make sure you get this video out to all of your social media because I think it's a very important discussion that we have this morning. We are literally talking about the rights of us as Trinbagonians, or whether we still have rights as Trinbagonians. I was explaining to Lima that I watched a blog, an activist version of what was shown on is Beyond the Tape.
Well, I don't watch Beyond the Tape. I can't stand that program. It is one-sided, and his opinion shows not good policing.
I am actually surprised at that program. Actually, no, I take that back. I was gonna say I'm surprised that that program lasted so long, but then
Is
again,
allowed to continue running because
yeah, because
I mean,
then
he
again,
gives advice to members of the public concerning the police, but then when members of the public do something, you're quick to give your opinion as a person who's supposed to follow the law, carry out the law, but you yourself can't follow the same rules that were set by the government to follow. Case in point, the mask wearing. Because when you was all up in Macho Man Forest, arm wrestling and doing all that, testosterone bullshit on national TV, not wearing a mask in very close proximity to Voice and all of them. You didn't know about wearing mask. You didn't know, but now all of a sudden you're on the tape, so you could say, oh, how you wasn't wearing mask and all these different things, and talk about that.
the fact that that was an issue being discussed by a man who so very publicly, like you brought up, Lemma, who so very publicly was caught not wearing his mask, who is the head of sort in a country where the prime minister has, on more than one occasion, not worn his mask. And not only has he not worn his mask, he's made the most, I don't want to say ridiculous, but the most condescending excuse. I am 5 feet away from him and I am sufficiently away from you. So a mask is not necessary. It's only 5%
Yet still the COVID spreader get COVID twice,
Yes,
right?
still the COVID spreader. Right now, we still don't have scientific evidence, especially since we don't consult and resort to scientific evidence in a country like this. But we still don't have evidence that Keith Rowley was not the cause of the two spikes because it's just so crazy that when he had COVID, we just happened to have some of our biggest spikes. But all jokes aside, for a man who does not wear a mask, who was caught not wearing a mask, a man who is in a country where his prime minister didn't wear a mask on several occasions, and we have not made any moves to arrest him, unlike other countries where prime ministers and presidents getting
Have
tickets
been
for breaking
arrested,
the law have
even
been.
charges, yeah.
We have this man who is clearly above the law and supporting a prime minister who is clearly above the law.
And supporting our attorney general also.
an attorney general, yet you have an activist like David Welch, a young black activist like David Welch. I see in black for a specific reason. I'll get to that in a little bit. We have an activist trying to make a difference, and he was there's no explanation for what happened to him yesterday. Not only was it unfair, it was inhumane, it was unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. It's like every Neanderthal in the service came out that particular time or was specifically sent to do that. For him to drop a letter, you all really had to get on like that. It's like TTPS is a walking oxymoron. You insist you must penalize and charge and get on this way for regular Joes, but the same law you can't carry it out for the people above who making the dotish decisions and laws.
Everything about what I saw yesterday and Lima, we don't have the option right now of showing that video, but I'd like you to explain to those who may not have seen it, those who have yet to see it, and those who did see it. I want you to explain what exactly you saw happen on the video. Like I said, I saw an activist version of what Alexander showed on Beyond the Tape.
He just showed a little piece, which was the ending, the last 3 minutes of his video. Because his video was for, I think, half an hour or a little longer than that, or could have been, because he walked from, I'm not sure exactly where he started it from, but he walked.
I know it wasn't Laventille. I know he started from Laventille.
So the live started from there. So he was live from the beginning all the way to the end. And when he got there, he said, let me mask up, because you know how they are concerning that. I mean, he had the mask on for the majority of the time, but you know, there are some times when you feel as though you're not getting enough oxygen with the mask on while walking in the hot sun. So you'll pull it down to catch your breath and relax a bit. And then he pulled it back up, and then he went. And the minute he hit that bend to by the gate there, they were out there. And it's like, what's your problem? What does he look like he could possibly do?
That entire thing looked like it was staged specifically for those two fools to go, and I seen it. I'm not mincing any words here, but for those two fools to go on television at 6 p.m. and make a mockery of our democracy. And when I say make a mockery of our democracy, you just took a man who is guilty of one thing, literally walking in the road outside the parliament. They obviously would have seen his video to know to wait for him in front of parliament. The two officers responsible for arresting that man, the person responsible for calling that shot to arrest that young man. And let me speak about David Welcher. I think everybody who's anybody would know that in the past, he and I did not have the best relationship. Him and our organization did not have the best relationship, but we all decided to put that aside under the Candlelight Movement when we realized that we really need to combat violence against women together. And since then, I have had mad respect for David Welch, his ability to put aside and say let bygones be bygones and join us. And I have even more mad respect for him this morning for what he attempted to do yesterday and for making himself an example to the fact that Trinidad and Tobago clearly is no longer a democracy. Nothing about what happened yesterday.
I was on Marsha's thread, Marsha Walker, and she posted about it, and there was a guy that commented about it. And what he said was, oh, he was disrespectful, he was this, that, the other. And after reading his comment, it was just nagging me. So I commented under his post and I said, you sound like you are a TTPS officer and you are defending your comrades. He is a police officer, by the way. He is. Because I went on his profile. I said, nah, you can't be that stupid. And I saw he is a police officer. He's already programmed. And then after listening to his comments going down, I was like, but you're telling me about this, but yet still the same law, you can't apply it to the Prime Minister, Faris and Roger Alexander, for breaking the same law that you're telling me he did. I said, by the way, he had his mask on. When did he not have it on? When he was talking to them and they weren't hearing what he was saying, he pulled it down a bit to speak, as everybody else does do.
Philip did a walk from Arima to Parliament, maybe about 2.5 months ago. Actually, more than that. We've been in a lockdown for nearly 3 months already. About 3-4 months ago, Philip did that walk to Parliament. Time really flies when you're not having fun, because I cannot describe the circumstances under which we're living right now as fun. But he did that walk from Arima to Parliament, for those who remember. I joined him around Tunapuna. Between Tunapuna and Port of Spain, Lima, I would be lying to tell you if I had on my mask for the full amount of time. That exercising alone, and I remember the World Health Organization did a release on this. You should not be exercising with a mask on. That is literally a recipe for knocking yourself out, fainting while you're walking, and letting somebody pass and see you as a little pile on the road. I personally tried to do it and experience just how difficult it is to do that. So him taking off his mask, being 5 feet away from other people, according to the Prime Minister, which is now I would guess that's the clause to the law. He was 5 feet away from the officers, just like I was by myself on the beach until the officers came on the beach and made it no longer more than one person. It was no longer my private space. Just like that, they came in his space yesterday and they attempted to arrest him for something that, again, so many people, and not just regular people in authority, have been guilty of, from the Prime Minister to the Attorney General to the head of SORT. 3 of the top positions in the country have all been guilty of the same thing that they arrested David Welch for yesterday. So tell me, how could this be? How are we still pretending that this is a real country that we're living in? Anything
you know what it boils down to, Felicia? The day David did that one-man protest and he got into the altercation with the police officers and they were saying, put your mask on, and he said, don't touch me, blah, blah, blah. That is TTPS revenge, What they do him there, that is revenge, because their pride was wounded, ego hurt, because this little frail and Negro boy could tell them, don't touch me. Keep your hands off me. And you went back for him. That is what it is, because I tell you, in the post, when I continued jabbing that police officer and he kept saying he looked at it and he read the report and he went on. I said, but where in that video he was doing that? I said, you are looking at the wrong video. You are talking about his one-man protest where they went at him when Parliament was in session and he was saying Rowley must go. I said, the video he went to drop a letter, what the letter was going to do. So they are using it as revenge against him. Because the same one-man protest, Alexander spoke about it as well. And he said that would never happen. His regular meathead approach. All brawn and no brain. And then you come now to ball, what he need an injection and a psychiatric evaluation. Brother man, the head of SORT should be part of the process for getting that position, psychiatric evaluation. Because NT was looking like he went mad when he didn't have police work to do.
You brought up a point that I wanted to specifically touch on. And if you're just joining us on this live video, we're just about to cross 300 people. Please hit share. We want to build up the discussion this morning because we are talking about very serious stuff this morning. Not that every morning is not serious discussion, but this morning in particular, Trinidad and Tobago, Philip said something on his video last night that it hit me special, that he doesn't want to live in a country where we slowly inching towards dictatorship. And that is what it feels like we are in right now in Trinidad and Tobago. We are a mock democracy. We are a shell of a democracy. We are what a democracy was supposed to look like, but went way left. That is us right now in Trinidad and Tobago. They are dregs.
And they're using police service against law-abiding citizens. Because look at the video some days before where the police break in somebody's house, mash up their expensive front door, take the man, go, come back and apologize. And Alexander had nothing to say about that.
There is also, and this is where I was going to go with that point. They said when you mentioned the injection thing, and I don't want to take that too lightly because something about that was not something. The
That
fact
sounds
say
threatening.
that it was very sinister. It sounded very malicious and that like they had malintent, and it also the person who was commenting, the social media activist who did his recording of Beyond the Tape, he did mention something that I've heard, and we know it as a rumor, but it's true. There's that injection that they give you when you go into sentence. That's it. You might as well have called it a lobotomy. It's almost as if they lobotomize you because you come out and you are not the same. And I'm going to segue a little bit into mental health and the way they treat mental health patients in this country. But the way they, not only just mental health patients, the way they treat average citizens. How many citizens do we know of who would have been sent to sentence just because they disturbing the peace, or they talking too much, or they saying things that they don't want people to hear, and they are not a David Welch and they're not a Philip Alexander, so we could get away with it. The fact that they're using what is supposed to be a treatment facility for people with mental health illness as a punishment facility for people who are standing up for Trinidad and Tobago. For those who missed that little line that they were joking about, you all need to think very clearly about that, because that could be anybody's fate in this country. Anybody who has a problem with what Trinidad and Tobago is, or where we're heading, or where we are, anybody who's speaking out against the government, do they want to send you to sentence to be evaluated and get lobotomized too?
Well, and the thing is, to be so open with it on TV, they should stop Beyond the Tape.
To be so open with it on TV, and listen, if there was a clearer sign that there is obviously a division in the TTPS, I think it was yesterday, because I know of officers who felt that what happened to David Welch was way over. It was an overplay of a hand that did not need to happen.
It seems as though there are two factions, one with Gary and one not with Gary.
I hope, for all the power that Gary still has as Commissioner of Police, because I do not want to believe that he sanctioned what happened yesterday. I hope, for all the power that he has as Commissioner of Police, that he launches an investigation into what happened yesterday. I hope David Welch, and I would help him if I have to. I will sit with him and write that report with him if I have to. But I hope that David Welch writes a complaint to the Police Complaints Authority, because what happened yesterday,
Yeah.
if what happens yesterday becomes our normal,
I can't accept that. They had to be mad. They're going to be locking me up often, because that is nonsense. Absolutely. You're going to drop a letter and that's how you get on? And then it comes with the classes section of TTPS. If it was a white man wearing a suit, they'd never get on so.
Well,
And
let's
that's
be
why God said, Philip, you wouldn't get the same treatment, blah, 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 you know. But guess what? That you are part of the same government situation because you think that was going to be different under UNC?
And that is what I want to talk about. I realized that God Christopher was trying to go down a little road of
He was
race.
trying to weasel his way back in
Um,
political books.
and I say this on behalf of Philip, I personally limit any activist, any social media activist
Kingsley.
who has had a problem with me, who has had a problem with Philip, or who has had a problem with Pepper or Cutter, whoever, anyone from the backstabbers who were in this organization and left and tried to throw our name in the mud, any single one of them who still have country first or who even have country first as their motto, I am willing to work with and stand by any of them. From God Christopher to Kingsley to Suzette Law. I'm calling your name, Suzette Law. Feel free to unblock me because there is zero bad blood. There was never bad blood in the first place, my darling.
Yes, to all the members of PEP that she blocked because she followed with Philip alone.
There was never any
She
bad
blocked me.
blood. Listen, I think I remember, and I'm going to segue here, and I know Chinese might stick around for this little bacchanal, but I think if politics fails, I am going to become an author and write my autobiography of what I experienced between 20 January the 18th, 2017 and August the 10th, 2020. What I experienced in those 3.5 years, I think y'all will never know. But back to it, Suzette Law, this is no, I'm not even being facetious here. I am legit willing to work with any Trinbagonian who, yeah, Suzette blocked me since 2017. um, but I am willing to work with anybody who is willing to step up for a better Trinidad and Tobago. I know there was a saying that we used to have in the pep. Don't prepare for the marriage. I'm sorry, don't prepare for the wedding, prepare for the marriage. A lot of people want to get involved in groups and come together, and then when they achieve their goal, you tend to see them fall apart. But in this case, in this specific case, I think that the goal is more important than anything else, and that is saving Trinidad and Tobago. We literally, as a nation, need to intervene and say, hold to F up,
Yeah.
hold up. Or they went a step too far. And if y'all don't realize that yesterday was a step too far, then something is definitely wrong. And you need to
Yes.
internalize that for yourself.
Yeah, because the step too far was already with Mark Hernandez, where they beat some people to death and off some chair, right? So you're seeing it progressively getting worse. So you do that. We don't know how many of that had happened before. And now you're on national TV spouting the same nonsense. And because he figure he's big and, intimidating to many that, he could say what the hell he want. Like, somebody saying Marlon used to have his own voice and now he operating like a police himself. But maybe Marlon gets an injection.
Maybe Marlon got an injection, the injection that they so very flippantly discussed yesterday. And it seemed to normalize on national television, not just normalize, like I say, they flippantly discussed it. They made a joke about it. They made a joke about literally using mental or psychiatric treatment to basically
Mm-hmm.
stop an activist, and that's using simple
And
basic
no media has picked up on this, eh? But
and
funny,
no
they
media.
all came out when Philip called, what's his name, a house Negro, which is not a racist term, it's a historical term. Malcolm X used it. And there are videos with him explaining what a house Negro was and what a field Negro was. So, was it
Activists,
racist because Syrian said it? That's what hurting people? Or the word Negro? People need to get with the program, you know. That's why Fitzgerald Hines didn't know what it was, you know, because he got 5 in history.
Trinbagonians don't just need to get with the program. We need to literally just stop for a minute and take a look at what is happening in this country. Take a look at what is happening in this country and compare it to what is happening in other countries. You don't think about when you review what happened yesterday, the countries that you think about, the countries that we sound synonymous with is North Korea and Russia and Venezuela and Iran and Iraq, where your police service is literally used to terrorize you. One of the things that I was hoping that Gary would have created for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and it's probably the only thing he could focus on in these past 3 or 4 years that he's been commissioner, is basically rebranding the TTPS. As a person, I don't know about you, Lima, but when police is around, I don't feel a sense of comfort and safety. I feel nervousness and fear. I feel fear because you don't know which asshole police officer you're going to encounter today who is going to use you as an excuse to deal with whatever drama he have going on with his wife, his child mother, his baby mama, his side chick. I
Not
don't
only
know.
that, not only that, police officers who racist, who don't like black people, or who don't like Indian, who don't like Venezuelans.
So,
Then the ones who homophobic, oh, you gay, I will brutalize your ass.
so I
Or
was hoping that
you
he could.
embarrassing me, you wound my pride, my ego by telling me I can't touch you. And I'm well then, and that's when there's out wanna out jackass people now and use brute force and physical takedown or advantage. You physically bigger and you realize the person a little bit smaller than you, which is what they do David Welch. Because one police officer could have gone and asked him, Mr. Welch, because we don't know they know his name, what are you here for today? Come
Mhm.
to do your one man protest again? What he was going to do? Blow up Parliament, the Red House? Nothing worse than what Abu Bakr do, that walking free?
Trinidad and Tobago. Listen. Now, Philip last night said on his live that he's going to go outside the parliament tomorrow, and I think, which is today. I think there's never been a more anticipated event. And
Praying
today,
that they're on the
today,
water.
today, the only thing we could hope for is that Gary Police, and that's what I started to refer to them as. We have started to refer to them as that because the non-Gary police were the ones who put us out of the park and lock us out, and then Gary police blocked the road and let us have the meeting anyway. And for the 9 nights that we held that candlelight vigil after Andrea Barrett's death, we had very kind police officers who not only looked out for us but made sure that we were safe, kept law and order, and also paid their tribute to Andrea Barrett. So Gary police, as I refer to them, I hope they are the ones who come out today or who are there today. But like I said, the division and the TTPS at this point, it is very obvious, is very clear, and the fact that our law and order makes us feel more afraid than safe, it is another indicator, people, that we are not living in a democracy. You're not
No,
supposed to be
it means
afraid
that
of law
CPS is
enforcement.
compromised. They are compromised. You see it in all those shows where they say agent compromised. Our entire flipping force is compromised. You go in the station, you want to make a report, and they want to tell you go here, there, and everywhere. Something as simple as going to deliver a letter, they had to get on so far. What it is all you so afraid of, that a letter? Is it now the Trinidad and Tobago PNM Police Service? Is that what we have now?
That is a very,
This is
very good
worrying.
question. Cray Ramuta on the live just said, I honestly believe there is a faction of the TTPS that is not being controlled by Gary Griffith. I 1000% agree with you. When Mark Hernandez was fired, I actually was just having somebody sent me a link to an article that discussed that very thing, that there is a clear division in the TTPS, that there are those who support Gary Griffith as commissioner, and then there are those who are trying to undermine his role as commissioner. And it could not have been more obvious than what took
Well, he's
place.
commissioner, he can't get them out. Like, investigate and get they have so many sections of police. It have PSB, Professional Standards Bureau, and then you have the complaints authority, PCA.
David Welch, when or if you get to see this video, just know that I stand with you. I would personally, like I say, offer my services to assist you with making that complaints to the Police Complaints Authority. What happened to you yesterday? The state of Trinidad and Tobago owes you money, basically, for what took place yesterday. Yesterday, that being a bad place if that becomes our new normal. It's terrible, terrible place to be. Reading the comments on the live. Got it right. PNM Police Service could not have said it better. Sean Brown said the police was listening to his live and they did not like what he was saying. The question is which police? Because there are officers who disagree with what took place yesterday, and I want to see those officers speak out and stand up, because today for him, tomorrow for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Or is there more to add to this topic? Anything else you want to add on
Well,
this
I
topic?
see he had already reached out to some attorneys, so they're going to look into it. But what is the message that is being put here is disturbing. And you know what upsetting is that is only certain people seeing it. There are still some sycophants that, he police did nothing wrong.
People, you don't just one day wake up to find out that you are a dictatorship. A dictatorship happens over time. A dictatorship happens with every bill that becomes a law, that becomes a decree, that becomes acted on by the law enforcement agencies, by the magistrates, by the judicial systems, by the courts, by the lawyers. That is how a dictatorship is formed. One bill, one law, one decree at a time. Last year when we revised our procurement law, Lima, they really say that education, comprehension, and understanding is the key to escaping mental slavery, because not so many Trinbagonians did not understand what they did when they wrote the procurement law as they did. They basically took away all the checks and balances that the procurement bill was supposed to have by allowing the ministers to circumvent the tender process and be able to choose
to manipulate it.
and manipulate the outcome of what a proper tenders and procurement board was set up for in the first place. We wrote a law that legitimized stealing.
Corruption, yeah. To further it, because it come like, okay, he have an next building to rent and he could jack it up to how much ever million a month and choose who he wants as which ministry to rent from.
But people, again, this is how a dictatorship is formed. One law at a time, one incident like yesterday. Once that becomes normal, that is our new normal.
But Felicia said, look how many things failing. Up to now, Media Association has said nothing about Overshe's situation. I'm surprised Joshua ain't get suspended too yet. Matt said nothing. EMA gone through. Why them getting salaries, I don't know. The OSHA board, I don't know what's going on with them either. Clearly, they weren't part and parcel of the Carenage police station, because Carenage police station, red tape and all that. Once it rain and flooding in the area now all of a sudden. All these things they're going through. Why Coast Guard still collecting salary? They're not performing. That's money we wasting.
I'm reading a comment by Bhumati Arjun Singh. And guys, please feel free to drop your comments. I cannot read all, but I will read those that we can this morning. Bhumati said, I can't say good morning to anyone this morning because it is not. Our citizens' lives are under threat with this country. You can't open your mouth, they shut you up. What will happen to the young generation to come? Our generation alone, those born to the 80s, the Generation X, and our generation alone, we've witnessed so much happening in this country. We were the generation that literally saw what when we had, as in we came around at the start of we came at the start of the oil boom, and then we are literally watching the country moving to a place where we have nothing. That phrase, the third wealthiest nation in the hemisphere, I feel that is the most irrelevant phrase to describe Trinidad and Tobago at all, because for the third wealthiest nation, we are a rich nation of poor people. For the third wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere, you look around, and as I look outside, I remembered something that I wanted to talk about on Monday. When I had the program, I mentioned that there was a shooting right before I started, around 6:30, or 10 to 15 gunshots rang out. By the time the live was over and I was leaving, my street was just lined with police officers. The young man that they shot, he survived. But the reason that I am speaking about this is that the person that they held for the crime, and I'm saying this on live video, the person that they held for the crime, remember I used to mention boys in my neighborhood who I know are 13, 14, 15 years old, lying on the block, not in school, and I would be worried about them. One of the boys that they held for the crime, who I honestly don't believe was the person responsible for the crime, is one of my neighbors, a young boy, about 15 years old. But he wasn't even in the wrong place at the wrong time. He had the wrong name at the wrong time, because eyewitnesses called a name and he just happened to have a name that sounded like that name, and he lived in the area, so they held him. But I'm mentioning that to say that he literally has fallen victim to exactly what children in his circumstance grew up to fall victim to. He grew up in a household that you don't have the same, you don't have access to the same things that children who grew up in homes of privilege have. You grow up in a
and they become police targets.
You become a police target. You become literally the easiest suspect. What was the phrase for that? The usual
suspect.
You become the usual suspect. You young, you're black, you're lying on the block. Somebody just get killed. You sound like the person. You look like the person. Lock you up. In this country, there's no forensic evidence, ballistic testing. Are they going to test his hands in prison to make sure that or in remand yard to make sure that he did or didn't shoot? Like, he has
on TV. We don't know if they just do that down here.
He has fallen prey to the trap that most young black Trinidadian men without guidance are
he get the equivalent of what David Welch gets, except his own is worse because could be put away for life for something he didn't do.
And I want to go and talk to his mom. I keep looking that way because I'm looking, oh my God, I want to go and talk to his mom because he was one of the young guys in my neighborhood who, when we would do drives and hampers and stuff, I would always look out for them because I was literally watching them growing up in an environment where I knew there was little that I could do to stop it. And this is why I have a problem with all the bullshit that going on in this country. No amount of hampers, no amount of food card, no amount of pappy showing, no amount of I see they're gonna what redo Port of Spain to make it look nice. No amount of construction and all the bullshit that you're doing, none of that is going to make building community centers and more football fields, none of that is going to make any real impact if you are not looking at the core, the fundamental reason that
Yeah,
drives crime and poverty in Trinidad and Tobago.
and that is the
We,
PNM way. Fancy, materialistic big buildings all over the place and systems that don't work. This is why I could not sit down and listen to Manning because yes, you're balling. Yes, we will have all these buildings, this, that, the other. How could you have all these big buildings and your people not there yet? You are dragging people along to 2020, Vision 2020, when these people mindsets weren't ready for it yet. You had to get that ready first before you physically went. You build all these buildings because all these fancy things that we have, what have they done? The Brian Lara Stadium, what has that done to help benefit Trinidad and Tobago? Napa, Tapa, and Sapa, what are they doing now that helping us? Nothing. The community center, they rush and they build in Diego Martin. It doing anything for the people at Diego Martin? No. The community center that they're rebuilding in Belmont, that they did not need to rebuild, by the way. They just needed to clean properly, probably do over the ceiling, electrical, new fans, those kind of simple things, put down a lawn properly. What is that doing for the people of Belmont? Nothing. If these systems aren't fixed, you're building hospital all over. But if you don't fix the system, that is the broken part of it, how you're fixing Trinidad and Tobago. It is just going to have the same broken system in a new hospital. Case in point, the woman make the baby at the side of the road and not in the effing hospital.
and
This is
that
nonsense these people doing. Look, the councillor for Belmont East put up a post. Oh, I'm so happy to see my constituents coming out to wash down flood water. The fucking problem is not the people coming out to help. Where the flood water coming from? Clean the drains. Go down in the drains and empty it. The silt gathering there. That is the problem. This girl's so dense, it's not funny. The water coming down the hills is a problem. That is where you need to start. The drains need to clean. The drains need to widen in some areas. They're all about putting plasters on so and not dealing with the root cause. People coming to wash down, doing your work for you is not a solution. You're balling Belmont Fire Service, by the way, who get a truck loan out how long now and they get back some old thing to use. Coming to help do what? Wash down streets and all these different things. Why? Where is the cooperation in going down in these drains to see what's going on down in these drains? The capacity of water coming down these hills now is clearly not enough to stay in the drains. That's why they're in the road. This is what needs to be done. You need engineers to come out. Get UE engineering section out here to start assessing these drains, going down in them, the river, start down by the sea and walk backwards to see what are the problems. All down Frederick Street, the drains are down in steps. Go in there and do a proper cleanup. Cleanup campaigns were supposed to be going on for this entire COVID period. Cutting bush, cleaning, cutting down trees that need to come down, pull down vine. All these different things were supposed to be going on. No, none of that happened. One set of flood with the smallest bit of rain that comes. So if a hurricane was really supposed to pass here now,
that's probably the last saving grace we have, that Mother Nature has been so kind to Trinidad and Tobago. All we need is one devastating
But
event.
look what happened in 2018. Remember when North was cut off from South? Have they started putting things in place for in the event something like that was to happen? Like did they send the regimental vehicles that you see driving through Baghdad? Those kind of vehicles down south, so that in the event North get cut off from South, the vehicles already there, so they could drive up the highway to give assistance. These are things. Where ODPM? Where is ODPM? They didn't say a word. All they're doing is sharing information you get from the Met Office concerning Elsa and the tropical depressions that were passing through. But to say you're giving people information, where you're getting sandbags, hardware's open 8 to 4. What happening after 4 o'clock if you have an emergency? We in rainy season. They're giving you information about what to do with animals, what to do with your sandbags. If you don't know how to do it, the pumps working, where all those machines to suck out the water to put it out. The regional corporations operating.
I just saw a comment from Jerry Hernandez, and I also saw a comment from Lady Spice, who every time I see her comment on the live, I remember that if we start late, we have to definitely give her back her time because she pays very close attention to that. And we did start a little bit late this morning, and I'm happy to go over because I'm loving the convo this morning. To have just about 300 people on the live, please share the video. We're still here, we're still talking. Jerry Hernandez said, when the Syrians complain, tell yourself that the puppet master is international. And for those who need me to translate what he just said, I believe Peter George just closed Show Cafe. Show Cafe, for those who don't know, is one of the high society fine dining restaurants in Trinidad and Tobago. There's nothing in Show that you can go and order and pay less than $500, $600, $700, $1,000 on your bill for if you're going there with 2 people, unless of course you're just having appetizers and water. Show, one of the most prominent, they held the space around the Queen's Park Savannah for many years, and they moved to St. Anne's, or was it Cascade. They formed several branches, Show Cafe, Vite, Show Cafe. And I'm saying all of this to say that even the people that you think this COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm not actually rewind, even people that you did not think that this jackass governance from and decision making from the people that we have in power, even they could not survive that. And if that is not an indicator of what is to come, yesterday I saw a fire sale happening with a supermarket. I don't know which supermarket it was, but somebody is selling their supermarket house, annex, fridge, stove, washing machine attached, because
and I told them check back in a few months to see which Chinese buy it.
They are hightailing it out of Trinidad and Tobago. Show Cafe is just one of several more that restaurant.
Mind you, in the earlier part of the months, we saw where Starbucks was opening another branch in San Fernando during a pandemic when places closing down. But yet still, DSS is the only one we could charge for money laundering. How that working out?
I just want to make a correction. Peter George, he's not the owner of Show. It's actually Khalid Mohammed, but Peter George is a restaurant owner, and he was the one speaking about the fact that
the owner of Trotters, I think.
Yes, this is just the tip of the iceberg, that we have more to come.
They're finally speaking out. It take them too long because I'm sure their staff would have been complaining to them, we can't make.
Trinidad, when you're 1% start saying that things hard, best believe that things hard, because the 1% are those that you expect to be cushioned by anything that is everything.
Remember, we are
attached.
And then the others are have-nots, and the haves are the buffer between the haves and the have-nots. And if the haves complaining, we in trouble. And certain haves complaining. The one who made the statement clearly not complaining.
More to come in terms of restaurant closure. The thing is, I mean, I am, and if you're not in this position, then you're clearly sleeping. At this point, I feel as if a COVID-19 outbreak would be better than what we are going through right now. We are talking about reopening the country, reopening borders, even removing a lockdown. And I have no idea what kind of economy we have to look forward to. One that is going to be booming or one that is limping. Everywhere is closing down. Supplies are getting harder to get. And I'm
Yeah.
speaking to the business owner here who went through my own depression and frustration over this lockdown situation.
Every time you go price match something you bought already, jack up by $10 to $20 or $200 more.
You're not hearing food prices being discussed. You're not hearing any of that, but
We're not hearing the Road to Recovery team talking about how we're gonna boost the economy. The mother of all carnival is not a boost the economy, it's only a boost to some people pockets. It's not everybody pocket, and that's bullshit because we can't wait until quite February to boost the economy. We need to start doing it now. Like
Carnival
yesterday.
costs us money though, Lima. We don't make money from Carnival. The only people who making money from Carnival are the band owners. Trinidad and Tobago, what does Carnival really bring for us? To the vendors who get to vend around the savannah, which I hear is a whole set of course, we have politics and everything, so there's
Yes.
politics in that too. There's
Politics is people who just choose the route for the flicking bands to pass. Because where they're making the bands pass, it's not where they have vendors selling. So vendors don't make money. And you hear any complaints and it's like, but what kind of jackasses running every sector?
If any Trinbagonian could be studying the mother of all carnivals amidst what is taking place in this country, then you're not really aware and tuned into what is taking place in this country. And I wait every morning to wake up and see a social media page, my social media feed filled with people as outraged as I am. And I'm not seeing it yet. And you would see the one or two grumbles here and there, but I don't think people fully aware yet of where we actually are. We are literally.
It's not a matter of not aware, Felicia. Some people just sold to the party. My party in office, and if they say this is what is best for us, okay. That is what is best for us, and that is what people are doing. That is what sycophants are doing.
Like the Pied Piper, the PNM government is leading Trinidad and Tobago off a freaking cliff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're waiting to wake up, but or never wake up or fall off the cliff and be splattered into pieces. They're being gruesome intentionally because it have to have some kind of wake up call.
Yeah, you know when it will be? When we take the hit for them and all of them jump on the plane, bye Trinidad and Tobago, we gone. And they fly out. When they start to see KFC branch closed down, or Subway or Burger King or Royal Castle or some kind of thing like that starting to close down and for sale, then they will start to worry.
Penelope Beckles tells East Port of Spain residents, I have had concerns about HGC too. Penelope Beckles, God bless this poor woman's soul. This
poor woman.
This last strand of decency, the last piece of decency that might be left in the PNM that I don't even know how to. I don't even know if to say she that decent, because to be in a party, seeing, witnessing what is taking.
No, she's not decent. You know why? Because they treat you bad as soon as Rowley Manning and them and they was looking for a political leader, they treat you bad because she was supposed to be the political leader. And they kick you to the curb, they give you some fancy post and you take it, you eat your humble pie, you take it and you win. And now they come back, they call you for elections last year and you come running back like a puppy dog. Yes, again, I think now. And you're bawling, you're feeling bad for what? That they sell out the whole of East Port of Spain, because that's what you're hearing. Since election campaigning, I have been hearing that they sold out Eastside Plaza to the Chinese. I've been hearing rumors of them trying to run Arlene's mall out. Well, her name is Arlene. Run Arlene, who owns those malls, out of business. I am hearing that they're trying to make Charlotte Street Chinese owned, Chinatown. So everywhere will be a Chinese shop. But mind you, we can't go China and do that. You'll never see a street or Caribbean street.
I have seen, actually just yesterday I was passing, or 2 days ago I was passing in town, and I'm noticing all the Chinese lanterns and stuff, and I'm noticing that they take over, and I have to say they take over because God knows what else has been sold to the Chinese. I notice that the takeover is steady on its way.
Yes.
And for those who are not aware of what the debt trap is, please go and search right now. The debt trap, DEBT, debt trap, China. Search for those 3 words. China has
many African countries will pull up. Zambia, yeah. I think Zimbabwe under pressure with them. And
they some other the things like Belt and Road, which is that their investment in countries, and not just countries, their investment in corrupt countries like Trinidad and Tobago, because that's where they thrive. They go to corrupt countries where there are no proper checks and balances, where they have things like a procurement bill that is an act of theft in itself. They go to countries where the democracy is weak, where the strength of the government is, as we're seeing it today, where basically they are a law unto themselves. They do what they want. They tell us that they do what they want, and they tell us, these small people, even though we do what we want, we will lock you up for doing what you think you can do just like us, because you're not us. They go to countries like that. They invest in air quotes. They allow corrupt or they facilitate more corruption. We live in a country where we don't know who owns one of our major natural resources. I grew up hearing about pitch and the pitch lake, but today no citizen of Trinidad and Tobago can tell you that they are 100% certain where the money from Trinidad Lake asphalt goes. They go to countries like ours, they set their roots in, and then they lend us money to the point that we will never be able to repay. Lima, your generation, my generation, your children's generation, and their children's generation will never be able to repay the kind of debt that we have amassed.
Unless
one little nation or one
PNM and UNC. That's the only way. That is the only way. We have to get rid of PNM and UNC. And people can't keep saying, no, UNC is it, because the problem with the pitch lake started with the UNC. It started with Manning, with Sapa Tapa and Napa. Our giant monuments that they could have set up as what? I don't know, COVID relief points for people to get COVID relief. But hey, no. No, go and line up for hours and beg for hamper, and then have the audacity of the social development minister to ball all you greedy, while Terrence buying a brand new Prado to drive and weep in. I wept. And then the Chinese liaison, Stuart Young, who is the Minister of National Security / Energy Minister. Where are we going?
Reading some comments on the live. Michael De Gazon just said, soon enough we'll be seeing street names in Port of Spain in Chinese. People, don't open your eyes. Don't open up your eyes and stay in your silos. It will be too late when you come to your senses. He's very right. You're going to start to see that very soon. Like I tell you, the lanterns, they already built the
I'm
it,
stupid.
they built the
Thing that, by the way, is a problem because when rain fall, the water cannot flow behind it. So I don't know who was the jackass to build that and not study where water going to pass when rain fall.
You know what's funny about that is that they built the two posts in the drain to block it, and then they double down when they went and built two. They put the two lion structures on the brick and then put two small holes at the bottom for water to rush through. And I'm thinking, you did that in the heart of a city that two drop of rain, two people spit, and it flood.
Yeah. And then the mayor comes and says, yes, and studying, people, they're writing upon it and they're desecrating the monument, but he not studying how much hard work it is now that he's making for Port of Spain Corporation workers to go and clean that shit now. The sweepers who have to sweep Charlotte Street. And I always tell them, and again, it's like donkey logic on top of PNM sycophancy and brain dead leaders. Because when the hole is the size of a Coca-Cola bottle size. So one bottle could fit and stick there, and that's the end of it, right? And he who's in charge of Port of Spain and how nasty Port of Spain is couldn't see that, but wait, that hole so small, how the water gets in there. But again, the man have a Prado to jump in and get driven around in Port of Spain, so he doesn't walk anywhere to see nothing.
Forget the hole. Forget the hole. How on earth could you think that building two structures in the on two sides of the road in the drain would not lead to flooding?
On a street that already floods.
On a street that already floods. How? Who were the engineers behind this? And I have to wonder, who are these people collecting money? Who are the ones coming up with these ideas? Because God put me to do it.
Yeah, I can tell you that.
I got a 2 in
Spain Corporation. It wasn't.
I can tell you, for the little that I learned in Form 5 physics, I know clearly that an object blocking a flow of water would cause a pileup of water. That's called a dam. A dam, which we have still not yet figured out to build, to take all of the water that was used, that flooded St. Francis Valley Road and other areas across Trinidad and Tobago yesterday. Take that water, store it, treat it, and redistribute it in times of drought for communities that need it. We have not yet figured out to do that. Figured out how to do that. But
you know how corrupt this place is? We bought a pothole truck and nobody has ever seen it. We don't know where it is.
I remember that call and report a pothole.
And the truck will come and we have never seen this truck in action. Where is it? Who thief it?
I remember when I saw that advertisement come out, report a pothole and we'll come and fix it. And I thought, well, whoever thought about this idea clearly have no love and sympathy people, because
I called and reported it. They have not come with the truck. What is the purpose of it? Who spent that money? How much money we spent to buy that, and where is the truck? The same wastage we see with all those boats down Chagaramas and where all the Coast Guard vessels, etc. is the same thing. Where is that pothole truck? Where the 1,700 missing police vehicles? In the Hyatt car park, there was a whole set of CARICOM vehicles parked up there, Audi Prado and all kind of thing, collecting dust. What's going on with those vehicles? What about all the vehicles that they get from, there was a whole set of vehicles parked up in the car park right opposite Hyatt there that they moved. I think they moved it somewhere up in the east. We still sure it have all those vehicles there? Some not missing, rims are missing, tires are missing, parts are missing.
There is no way to know what is happening.
Remember the bulletproof vehicles that those brothers or whoever it is bring down? You remember that? They brought down fully bulletproof vehicles, the glass bulletproof everything. Where those vehicles? All these things that we just have sitting down rotting away that they could have had an auction if the case ain't called yet. How long the case going to take? What is happening? Look at how much money we just have there and we wasting it. Right? Every minute they want to burn marijuana. No black man, no small man must ever have their own little field to grow marijuana. No. But let's have the drugs passing and the guns. Because that's the only booming thing in this country right now. That's the only thing that was allowed to thrive during this entire COVID pandemic.
And Lems, I'm watching how they're going to do with the marijuana industry the same thing that they do with everything else, which is corrupt it and mess it up. At this point now that we're approaching almost, we're approaching almost 2 years of marijuana being decriminalized, not legalized.
We still have people in jail.
We still have people in jail. We still have you could smoke it, you could smoke it, you could grow it, but you can't buy it.
Which don't make any sense. So where the hell you getting it? Out of Kenya?
No sense. We have young black men who, even the ones in prison for petty crimes and stuff, who could have been working and cultivating fields to this day, the ones who liming on the blocks, smoking and selling for the white collar criminal who bringing in the guns and the drugs to facilitate criminal activity. They could have owned their own little corner shop instead of a little hole in the wall parlor. Yeah, give me a 5-piece. They could have owned their own little shop and earned a honest, legitimate income. But even
we could have set up a government farm to grow this thing, to export it, to bring in that much needed US dollars. But no, that's not for us.
And you can't sell it, according to Jerry Hernandez. You could smoke it, you could have it in quantities less than 30 grams. You could have 4 plants, but you can't buy and you can't sell. So the seeds are supposed to rain on us like heaven, like manna from heaven. We're supposed to collect it, grow our 4 plants, wait 6 months, and then listen, the absurdity of it. And yes, I know the time cycle because I tried to grow mine and I killed it. And yeah, that was my foray into cannabis cultivation during the SOE last year. But like anything that this government touches, it wilted under my care. But back on track. What did we not touch on this morning? I started to mention Penelope Beckles and the HDC development that they are intending to do in East Port of Spain. Another disaster to come. As with everything in Trinidad and Tobago, we all know the cost of it is going to be overinflated. It's going to be under constructed is not the term I mean to use, but it's going to be overinflated. And the quality of work that we're going to get, we know it's not going to be worth anything that we're paying for. Somebody is going to walk away, or some people are going to walk away richer, and the people who it was intended to benefit would probably have to still fight up, because HDC, as we all know, is another political party card holding scheme in this country. If you don't know somebody, or if you're not connected, or your mommy didn't know the director or whatever, chances of you getting an HDC house are slim to none.
Great is the PNM.
I love that ending. Great is the PNM. All right, just reading some comments again. Oliver Marin on the live. Good morning to you, Oliver. We in trouble Our only hope is you guys. Thank you for that. But I believe that the hope is all of us. Not even the head. He can be an advisor on the side. I'm not sure exactly what he's saying there, but thank you for the compliment. Again, I I I think these kind of programs are important, but I also think that the onus is on all of us. It is on.
Before we get to do anything, Trinidad and Tobago has to understand that the attack is on Trinidadians and Tobagonians and not PNM people or UNC people or PEP people. It is all of us. Because what happened to David Welch? Yes, he might be UNC, but it will happen to everybody else. Alexander probably on the lives watching, yes, all who to target. Get them that injection.
You just said something there. Yes, he's UNC. David Welch has been a very public black youth activist for the United National Congress. And this morning, I hope to see a very strong worded release coming from the opposition leader herself, and not no childish games that she's been playing in the past couple of days, past couple of weeks, trying to sound like who we all know she's not. I'm talking about
twice that child.
Yeah, I'm talking about a properly worded letter fit or befitting of the office of the opposition leader, strongly denouncing what happened. And I also hope that UNC sending their lawyers to defend that young man.
And we know they have plenty lawyers. She is one.
No cost to him. So UNC, you're hearing me and I'm seeing it because this is recorded for posterity. I am saying this morning, I'm looking out from you, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. I'm looking out from you, Kirth Megu, and I'm looking out from you, Rudan Munilal, and all the others in the UNC, David Nackett. All of you all go back. I want to hear you all speak out on what happened to David, and I hope that you all have his back 1,000% because
we could only wait and see. Right, let's not hold on to hope. We still holding on to hope for Matt too. Media Association to talk about what happened with Urvashi. Are we still waiting for that too?
Again, if these things are not greater clues that Trinidad and Tobago is a upside down paradise, I don't know what else. The writing is literally on the wall. What you're cracking up at?
Just how crazy things are, because the opposition missing every opportunity to stand up.
Well, let's see what they make of this one. I repeat my call that I repeated that I said at the beginning of this video for all activists to unite. Forget the marriage. I right now I am concerned about the wedding. And the wedding is everybody who has a voice standing up against a dictatorial government that is hell-bent on just eroding the rights of citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm calling you all by name again, Suzette Lauer. What's his name? Dude, man, Garth Christopher Kingsley. Listen, all of you all, Michaela Pandey, as much as she trying to sue us, all of them. Once you have a voice, once you forget any bad blood in the past, forget who don't like, who is not. It's one thing I've learned, Limmer. I really learned this in the past few years. It really doesn't matter who likes you and who doesn't like you. There have been people who I can't stand, who I see speak out more than people who I rock with on a daily basis. It is just about enough people being able to put aside their differences and unite under one common cause, unite for a common good.
But I put a post about that and I said, I don't have to like you to admit that something wrong happened to you. And David Welch is not my favorite person to listen to.
But I followed his videos.
But obviously something wrong happened there. We cannot sit down and just allow that to happen, because when will it stop or when will that end? So who is next then? So you telling me if I was to go and pull out my phone to have a conversation on the phone in front of the Red House, they might want to jack me up then?
Joel Alexis is asking if we have seen the video. Joel, you obviously missed the first hour of this program. That has been all we have been speaking about, what took place with David Welch yesterday. And we have to continue highlighting these things because we're competing with national media that is being used to spin this into a different story. What they did on Beyond the Tape yesterday, again, if we had a real media association of Trinidad and Tobago, if we had a real, what's the next one? Telecommunication, the other one, I forget the name. If we had real organizations that had real backbones in this country, today Beyond the Tape would have been pulled from
Yeah.
the airs. For publicly going on air and speaking about basically lobotomizing a young man using an injection, all of that they joked about today, that show should have been pulled from the air. The fact that they could use what is supposed to be an unbiased program to basically target and paint a different narrative that unfortunately the uneducated and uninformed are going to run with and say, oh God, yeah, he looked for that. They should have locked him up. They should have
Yeah.
him in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to deal with the people who are going to cheer on that. And this is where, when you ask the question, where the Black Lives Movement people, that's why I asked this question. Because yesterday, David Welch was our George Floyd. And where were they?
I don't know. Who is the person in charge of that?
I spoke to the young lady, and let's just say she's a clear PNM tool. She refused to have anything to do with the candlelight movement because of whatever reasons. Her beef, of course, linked to political reasons. And from that moment, I realized that this is not any legitimate organization, or that I thought it was a legitimate
So they
organization.
are just like one mantra then, waste of time.
Just like woman, I don't want to say that. But I will specifically say, just like the PNM Women's Arm, which only or you only hear about them when it's to defend Keith Rowley against something or some PNM minister. But women being raped, killed, murdered, targeted, human trafficked, disemboweled, the silence of the lambs at that time.
Yeah.
But yes, just like the organizations that were created and do nothing, that is what we experience in Trinidad and Tobago. So that's why programs like these are very important. And I take what Lima and I do here, I take it very seriously, because we don't have the national airways like these propaganda media tools and puppets have. So we have to keep the conversation alive on social media, and the only way to do that is by continuing to have programs like these and share out. Jerry Hernandez, can we reach out to Amnesty International? Yes, we can, but don't wait for me and Lima to do it. You write them a letter. If Amnesty International gets 1.4 million letters from 1.4 million Chinese who saying save we ask, best believe somebody gonna say, yo, maybe they need saving. But again, don't wait for me, don't wait for Lima. Yes, I believe writing letters can help, but it has to come from all of us. Everybody has to take it upon their own selves to save Trinidad and Tobago.
I don't even know what to say again. It's like you're realizing I stuck in Twilight Zone. It's like I'm living this day every single day and it just repeating. That is what is happening. We in a time loop and it just every day it repeating something bad and it just gets worse.
Ann and Boise said, you people are the worst. I know. People who allow governments to trample over them and who don't know how to stand up for their rights, yes, they are the worst, because that's obviously who you are speaking about. Joel Alexis, now ladies, I don't watch Beyond the Tape because he does not tell the true meaning. Um, I don't like the way he got locked up. Nobody with a right thinking mind likes the way that David was locked up. Sean Brown said David Welch sacrificed himself for the country, opening up of the country's economy. I don't know if some people said he went with the intention of being arrested. If he went to make a statement, he did. It made two statements. One, that we are clearly not living in a democracy. And two, there is clearly a division within the TTPS. Those who
Yeah,
would
but I don't.
condone
Okay,
the
people who say that he went there to be arrested by what? Dropping a letter? That is a crime now. That is a crime. And Parliament is ours, where we are supposed to be represented. So what he go in there would have caused him to get arrested. To drop a letter, it not even making sense either way. If he went and he was cussing and railing up and getting on and pelting bottle and thing, fine, I could understand. Yes, you're looking to get arrested, you're looking to get charged, etc. But you went to deliver a letter.
And in breaking news today, July 7th, 2021, Jovenel Moise, or the president of Haiti, and his wife were both assassinated this morning. And I mean, I have to go read the circumstances under which this just happened, but it is breaking news. It's a developing news story. But without even reading the story, Lemma, I could already anticipate what was the impetus behind that assassination. Haiti, a country which our prime minister loves to compare us to. Haiti, who he said is doing worse than us. Haiti, they just assassinated their president this morning, and I'm not giving Trinidad and Tobago ideas, but I'm also alerting you as to the place that we are in.
He wants to compare us to Haiti, but I hope he remembers that Haiti didn't ask for independence. They took it. There's a difference between Haiti's people and our people. We sit down on our ass and beg for handouts. And we just sit down and take ministers, but we greedy. Haiti don't sit down and take that shit. So he comparing us to Haiti, I would say Haiti's people are a little bit more progressive than ours.
Speaking on local radio station, Prime Minister Claude Joseph confirmed the killing of Moise, saying the attack, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, saying the attack has been carried out by an armed commando group that included foreign elements. For people who don't know, Haiti has been literally torn and ravished by natural disaster, by created natural disaster, aka their governments that have come in power and since independence have done very little to right size the conditions of Haitians in Haiti. And after decades of turbulence, it seems like Haiti is not due for a break anytime soon. And this is the circumstance facing them this morning. His wife, Martine, has been seriously injured in the attack, and I'm reading this from The Guardian, not our local Guardians of Democracy, the International Guardian. His wife has been seriously injured in the attack. She survived. An official speaking anonymously has revealed. There have been intermittent periods of protests and street violence and gang violence, some of it tied to the country's political parties. You'll see these political parties taking you nowhere. At the center of the crisis has been the question of when Moise's presidential term was due to end and whether he was governing unconstitutionally.
And the people have spoken.
And the people have spoken. Trina, we don't have to get there, though. I am a firm believer that change and revolutions do not need to involve death and carnage. I believe that voices and your presence alone is enough to initiate change in this country. 1.4 million people, 10,000 people, there
If
are
people
5,000
were
stores
honest with
apartment.
themselves, if Trinidadians were honest with ourselves, we would know what it is we're willing to accept and not accept. But we hypocritical because it could happen to somebody who's supporting UNC, but it can't happen to us. Or it happened to him. Well, that is not me. I'm not affected. And we have to start seeing it as that happened to one of us. It happened to one of us. That David situation could have been any one of us. The high food prices. So you telling me you going out there to put up a placard saying high food prices, to talk to Clarence about it because he's the Minister of Agriculture, and you telling me you can't do that? You could get arrested for that? High food prices, that's a problem we're facing now, and that affects everybody. Everybody, whether it's PNM or UNC, it affects everybody. And that not going down. The price is only going up. That affects everybody, and we have to see that as this affects us all, not some of us, all of us.
Yeah, this could be anybody. And listen, guys, keeping your head down does not spare you from the wrath that is going to be
Yeah.
unleashed on this entire country.
There's a saying, what ain't missing pass you, right? It will affect everybody.
Keeping your head down just ensures that when a time comes to actually do something, you're going to just realize that you missed your opportunity and that you had a chance. Philip said on his live yesterday or day before that he really, regarding the Venezuelan immigrant circumstances, that he strongly believes that they should have stayed and fight for their country, and I believe so. Jumping from the frying pan into the fire, which is what they did by coming to Trinidad and Tobago, which is what they inevitably did when some of them came and drowned on passage to here and all of that madness, things that were making international news stories in Turkey when about 2-3 years ago when they were fleeing conditions in the Middle East. Things that happen here so normal on a daily basis. Boats of Venezuelans going missing. Listen, their time to fix their country was when they were where we are right now. And what I am terrified of, I wouldn't lie to you, I am terrified that we might be missing our opportunity. I'm watching everybody, I'm watching people leaving this country, Liman, I'm getting nervous. I'm not going to lie, I'm getting nervous because there are telltale signs of when the building is going to crack. You see the little, when the building, sorry, there are telltale signs of when the building is going to fall down. You see the little cracks in the foundation. You see it, and our cracks showing themselves very clearly.
We're
But
going to
what
have a brain drain. We're going to have all the intellectual, critical thinkers who will want to live with their families, and they're going to leave the ones that can't, and the ones that can't will be the ones we have to watch. But it has to get worse for it to get better. It's always darkest before dawn. We ain't reached there yet because it still have people supporting PNM. It will have to reach to the point where people realize, every one of them realize PNM is not the answer.
I took a drive on, when was it? Sunday or Saturday last week? Saturday last week. I took a random drive to a part of Belmont that I've never been in. And that's one thing I love about Belmont. So it's a small community. And when I say small, less than 8,000 people. I think Belmont East has a Burgess of about 6,000 people. Collectively, we have less than 12,000 people in Belmont. And you see the areas that I have never been in, even after elections. And I drove there and I'm watching the view, looking out into the sea. And It is so beautiful. And then I'm looking around at the infrastructure in Belmont. Who house, roof gone, who building, who shack looking like it being held up by sticks and prayers. And this is in no way looking down. And I want to be very clear because I have people who love to twist your words. This is not me looking down on anybody or anybody's circumstances, because in those very walls, you would find some of the most giving, loving people. Actually, I visited a family when I was there, and they treated me with such respect, such hospitality that, I mean, I looking around at the conditions that they are being forced to live under, and I'm wondering, for a community that has been PNM since 1962, what we really have to show for it? Why is this the returns on investment for voting PNM every 4 and 5 years?
Garbage on every corner, pressure for water, the roads in a mess, ambulance can't fit up some of the streets, Tech can't get here, fire truck can't fit in some of the lanes. Great is DPNM. And when I brought up all of that for elections, you know what people said? Why are you talking about those little issues? You don't realize you're going up for MP? And I said, well, if local government dealt with it, I wouldn't have to talk about it at the stage of representation for the entire constituency. The fact that it's still a problem means it clearly was not solved. So yes, I have to talk about it, because you're making fire services work a lot harder when they cannot reach a fire. They have to come now and do the Pythagoras theorem of an area to get to the fire. And that is a major problem.
You need to be talking about those things as MP, because as NP, you would have been NP. As MP, you would have been working under a progressive government who would have seen the need for devolution of power from central to local governments, which is so critically overdue. The fact that local government does not have the power that it should have to run and manage the needs of the constituency, the fact that that has not happened is because decisions from a central government level have not been made. Laws and bills haven't been written and passed and actualized. So yes, you need to be talking about garbage and streets, and they should have been applauding you for that, because you're an MP with a vision.
Yeah.
What they have now?
Nothing.
Stuart Young doing what for Belmont?
Nada. That's why his councillors has to go out and thank the people for washing down the flood water instead of figuring out how to keep the water in the drains and not in the road.
We celebrating the cleanup of flooding rather than highlighting the issue that every freaking rainy season, every time it rains in Belmont, it floods. So
and this is people using tank water
to wash. So for the next 10 years, our response to flooding is going to be, all right, neighbors,
come out, get your hose and your broom.
Bring your bear, bring your cup, let me sweep some dirt off the road. That is our vision for a progressive nation. And we wondering why we're here.
And the MP don't live in the constituency, so he doesn't know what's going on. He don't drive through it. He don't see it.
What they must think of us, huh? Imagine what it must be like to wake up as Stuart Young, knowing that a community that would never live the lavish lifestyle that he lives, knowing that's a community where people will never be able to afford the kind of things that he can afford, knowing that a community that has been abused, misused, downtrodden, abandoned for years to decades, knowing that even after he do them all of that, that they still came back and put him in office. I think I just understood the fuel behind their egos. Keith Rowley was right. I am 5 feet from you. I am 5 feet from him. I don't need to wear a mask. He was right. I is Keith Rowley. I am Keith Rowley. Do you not know who I am? I don't need to wear a mask.
Yes.
I'm your prime minister. You put me here. I don't need to do what you tell me to do, but you have to do what I tell you to do.
Heck, let Clarence go and buy a Mercedes Benz too. And licensing office that closed could open just to license the vehicle for them too. While we can get renewals and all the other things that you just want from licensing office. Let Shanfa go and buy one too. Let she buy a Range Rover. We in charge now.
It's we turn now, and I want to ask all the people who singing is we time now. 1, 2 left foot ballies, and want to know for all of that. What you get out of this week? Did you get your yam yet? Did you get your bag? Did you get your
The
bag?
free Wi-Fi.
Did you get your rental assistance? Did you get your grant?
And we know it had to be rental assistance because plenty of them can't get HTC houses.
Guys,
Yes,
I have just seen the time. I have just seen the time. What question is that?
No, Jerry said they're very quiet now, and it's true. They're very, very quiet.
They are. Guys, I have just seen the time and realized that it's been an hour and 35 minutes. Miss Lady Spice has gotten more than her amount of time, and I realized Lima, I normally at time it according to you telling me you have to go and deal with the kids, but I just realized school closed.
Yeah.
So you have time upon time to go, and I unfortunately don't, and my mother wants to cook in the kitchen, and before you'll have to hear pots and pans
and the shwa.
And yeah, I will make my exit. To the 300 and something people who've been with us on and off on this live this morning, thank you very much for sticking with us. My name is Felicia Hood, as my little thing underneath here says. My number is 7694590. I'm part of the Citizens Union of Trinidad. I'm part of the Progressive Empowerment Party. If you would like to get involved in either organization, if you would like to contact me, 7694590 is my number. Charmaine John, good morning to you, Charmaine. Yes, we've seen what happened to Haiti. Thank you for joining us on the live. Our regulars, Hadassah, Jerry, Joel, Sean. I'm just bringing up everybody who was with us this morning and stayed all the way through the end. Thank you for staying with us, Shada. We really enjoyed having you, Deborah, everybody who contributes and speaks on the live. I am going to review the comments after this. Cut has t-shirts selling if you would like to pre-order. Hadassah just put my number up for those who did not catch it, 7694590. I have to go now, but have a great day ahead, people. Remember, the only people who are going to stand up for this is us. Don't wait for me to do it. Don't wait for Lima. Don't wait for Philip. You search within yourself and see what you can do to make Trinidad and Tobago a better place. And even if it's just a video, even if it's a post, even if it's sharing a live video, you have to take some kind of responsibility in fixing this. We absolutely cannot do this on our own, and we cannot do it without you. Yes, Philip is going down to the Red House. He has not given a specific time because he does not want a congregation, but keep tuning to his page. Or maybe you just go take a walk in front of Parliament too, see what happens. It's a great day for a walk. Yeah? I didn't say anything. I just said take a walk. Trying to be good. I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Be safe. Remember, it's still COVID. Sanitize, wash your hands. Social distance. Most important. And remember, we are one people under one flag. Bye.
Bye.